Good morning.
Good morning.
Wow. I'm a little out of practice. If I ever was in practice, it is what it is. Good morning. Welcome to Daily Dose. It's Tuesday, which going forward will be the first day of the week that we live stream with you. And we wanted to tell you a little bit more about what our rationale behind this was. So we told you yesterday that some of it was that Lillian, who did this audit of our stuff, said, there's watcher fatigue, audience fatigue, I think is the phrase she used. And we realized that if we were tired, you might likely be too. So we decided to go down to 2 days a week. But there's actually a different, deeper reason for it as well. Dr. Mary, do you want to talk about that?
It also goes back to when you start rehab, you get immersed. If you ever know what immersive learning is, it's the best way to learn a language is to be thrown into it, and they don't give you any hints in your native language, and you've got to figure it out for yourself.
Can you imagine anything harder?
Well, that's right. What the more heads doing.
It's
my child's in the immersion Spanish program. I thought, do you like your child? Because that sounds terrible.
Yeah. Anyway.
So you go to AA meetings sometimes twice a day, and you go to different ones. So when I left, I only started going to AA meetings twice a week. Actually, I started going 3 times a week.
You did?
Yeah, because when I was going to the day.
Right, to daycare.
Daycare. There was one there on there was a Thursday. It was a Thursday.
Just in case anyone thinks I'm making light of daytime rehab, I'm sure not. We just have sort of shortened it to something.
Oh no,
silly, for lack of a better phrase. I sure don't mean to make light of.
You certainly do not
of the seriousness of any kind of treatment that any kind of person seeks.
No, she doesn't. I can attest to that.
Thank you.
So I just go Fridays and Saturdays.
And why? Because
one, you're trying to regain your life. You have to get a foothold on it, and 2, it's a crutch or a walking stick. You've got to learn how to move through the world without it if you can. Now, I know people that go every day because they either want to or they need to, or it makes them feel better. But me personally, I can do with the weekend content. Now, I haven't been going to my Friday night one because it's been on Zoom, because they're not letting people into.
I thought Friday wasn't happening at all.
They're having a Zoom, but it's the same little. And I love this little group of people, but we always end up just kind of.
Oh, right. I'm sorry, I forgot. Friday did start. Yes.
And I kind of, to me, it was becoming like a chore. I wasn't joyfully looking forward to it. So I decided just for myself to not go to it until things have evened out with the pandemic thing. I mean, I do miss it, but I think I'd rather not go. And for me, I'm in a place where that's fine with me. I got no at right now. I feel fantastically secure in my general little life.
So I guess the question is, what's the value to tuning into Daily Dose twice a week? And listening audience, what do we do with the name? I think we laughed about this once before. Months ago, I said to Dr. Mary, do you think we should not do this every day? And he said, that kind of makes the title not really work anymore.
It is called Daily Dose. I know that I don't know, but going back to the twice a week thing that we're going to try, we're going to just try it because that's what Lillian suggested we do.
It also feels right for us.
Yeah.
You know how sometimes when you're in the middle of something, you don't realize, slog is way too strong a word, but you don't really realize what a slog something is until you can step entirely away from it. And when we stepped entirely away from Daily Dose, I realized how much of my brain is given over to, what are we going to talk about? What are we going to do? How are we going to make this happen? We got to come up with 15 minutes of content. And, on one hand, 15 minutes is nothing. And on the other hand, if you want it to be meaningful, then you can't just show up and say, what the hell? What do you want to talk about? You have to have some kind of plan, even if it's a loose plan. So for us, with all of the other things that are going on in our day jobs and in our lives and all the things we're pursuing, this just feels like a better cadence. And we hope that you think that too. I guess the thing that you can do, if you feel like you still need a daily check-in, there are 275 episodes over the course of 56 weeks that you can go to YouTube and watch anytime you want. Do a random pick. Just scroll through and pick one and see if it resonates for you, if you feel like you need an additional check-in, right?
Yeah. I mean, here's the deal. When I first started going to rehab, Dana, bless her, if we were doing anything over a weekend, she actually reorganized it so I could go to AA meetings. And then we were traveling. And I
Back
said,
when we could travel.
yes, remember those? Remember that? Those happy times. They're coming back. Yeah, anyway.
Canaan days. Little Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat reference for any of you wondering what had just happened to me. I occasionally do go into musical theater memories. Anyway, back to you.
I'm momentarily stunned. No, you do, as I've said before, you do unfold like a flower.
Keep going, Dr. Barry.
So this really good friend of mine, he's retired. I met him in AA. He retired. He was a lawyer. He retired and moved to Arizona with his wife, which is what a lot of people do from North Dakota. Anyway, he said to me, "Why are you worried about missing an AA meeting?" He said, do you have your plans in place? Do you know what you're going to do? I said, yes, I've got a list of AA meetings at our destination. He said, well, don't live your life like you used to live your drinking. You gave up your life to drink. Don't give up getting your life back to come to an AA meeting. He said, if you can do it, go off, enjoy yourself. We'll all be here when you come back. So we're not just leaving you to it. I mean, we're going to be here Tuesdays and Thursdays, and there's 254, well,
75,
276 if you include yesterday's, and this one to fall back on if you need to. Find one at random. And we were.
You just said exactly what I just said.
It's a good.
I know the accent is better.
It is.
You've probably heard Maz say, "Find one at random."
That's not bad. I've lost my thread.
Anyway, I'm sorry.
Yeah, even the ones we were doing, we had no idea what we're doing. And, one that just popped into my head. And one of the best ones I think we did was the Memorial Day one. But I was looking that stuff up like 2 hours before. I could have done a better job if I had a couple of days to look up the links between what's happening to veterans and addiction.
Oh, that was a good one. I liked that one too. Here's what I have found interesting, and I think you will too if you're a longtime watcher. You're going to have forgotten this stuff. I was looking for something on Daily Dose sometime in August and went back and ended up watching 3 or 4 episodes, none of which I remembered recording, which is kind of rare for me because I have a pretty strong memory and I drove much of the content that we ended up talking about. And it was absolutely new to me. So all of this is just to say, twice a week, brand new content will be here for you as a check-in, as a touch point, as something to exercise through, as one of our ardent watchers does, and as just an opportunity for you to get something new to think about. But we all know how many times we have to hear the same thing over and over again before it occasionally clicks in our brains. So go back if you want a touch point that's Monday, Wednesday, or Friday. Also, I am going to be posting things on the Facebook page throughout the week on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. So you can do that. Maybe I'll post podcasts on those days, all those kinds of things. So there won't be content every single day probably, but there will be additional content besides our Tuesdays and Thursdays. So that's the rationale behind this. We're thinking of this as that sort of graduation out of needing intense check-ins to being able to exist in the world and have periodic check-ins. Twice a week is still a nice amount of check-in.
Yeah. And of course, you could, you could always add comments to those YouTube videos, or send us messages, or send us an email and tell us what you think or what you want to hear more of. Or could you, even if you wanted us to readdress something,
Yep, that's true.
let us know. And that way we can do a better job of helping out anyone that actually is using this for its intended purpose.
Yeah. So I want to give you a preview of Thursday, which we are intending to do on Tuesdays, assuming we have our guests lined up, which we do for the month. So on Thursday, and I think it's Lyseth and Melissa Henke are coming on from the North Dakota Professional Health Program. We were introduced to them by Dr. Julie Blem, who was a guest, and also Dr. Grant Severson has referenced them. It is a nonprofit in North Dakota whose mission is really to take care of caretakers, because we know for a fact that the more stress people are under, the more likely they are to turn to substance abuse. So this is a safe place for people in the medical profession to get help from any kind of substance abuse. And Ann and Melissa are going to join us on Thursday to talk about that. The rise in the medical profession of addiction during COVID has been profound. So I expect we'll hear some of that. And I expect we'll also hear, if you think about the shame around an average person going through addiction, imagine being a medical person. You're supposed to be the really, really smart one who has all the answers.
Not just that. I mean, think of every member of a medical staff has a specific job, and some of them are more challenging than others. I was listening to a radio advert, which is odd because I very seldom listen to the radio, but the radio was actually playing through the, it was an advert on an app. Anyway, it doesn't matter. But it was for addiction problems with medical professionals, and there was stuff in the background. And you could hear it was people saying, "I can't believe these people get addicted. They should know better." They're people.
Yep.
And they're under a lot of stress, and that can be what happens.
Yeah. How often, just to put this into perspective, how often have you come home from a stressful day and thought, I need a glass of wine? I need a glass of wine. How often has that been your response?
Here's something that always stuck in my head. I don't know if anyone, well, I'm sure most of the people watching this have heard of the TV show MASH and the premise behind that. But there was an episode where they were trying to decide if they drank too much, having a still in their tent and everything. And Alan Alda went, at the end of the episode, he put his drink down and said, "You know what? I'm going to come back from that when I want one, not when I think I need one." And that was the end of the show. And that has always stuck in my head.
Yeah, we know it's a slippery slope. And under the kind of stress that the medical profession has been in, I expect this will be a really powerful conversation. So tune in on Thursday. Check in tomorrow. There may be something on the Facebook page. If not, don't despair. We'll be back Thursday morning at 8:30. Thanks for tuning into the new iteration of Daily Dose.
Bi-weekly.
Daily Dose : bi-weekly.
The next generation. There you go.
Daily Dose 2.0, or whatever we're going to do with it. We're really, really happy to have you back with us. And if you're new to the show, welcome. This is pretty much what it's like. A little bit of planning, a lot of back and forth. And we hope going forward, a message always for you to take into your day, whether addiction is a problem in your life or not. Have a great day.
Have a good day.
Bye-bye.
Bye.